let's dive in. Todd and Matt, glad to be sharing time with you all to have this conversation today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
So what I would love for us to do is to explore two themes that overlap very much and look at things on a time continuum, if we may, past, present, and future. And the two themes that I would love for us to explore that you all have in your organization, TAI, have so much experience with, is the essence and idea of community engagement and service, and some of the ways in which that has manifested throughout your history and how they're manifesting now. So if we even start with those ideas, Todd and Matt, when you think about that, when you all think about service or community engagement, what does that mean to you as an organizations and extension individuals?
I could start it. Yeah, I think our company has a long history, and right now we have over 90 outpatient clinics, but long time there's been service done by individual clinics and getting involved in their immediate community, whether it's schools or other things. I think what's changed in our involvement with PT Dave Service has been more involvement across our clinics and regions. So it's been great because it builds that type of connection that people aren't just working in a single practice, but they're working within a bigger organization that adds a network of support for them, but also a network of opportunities to do things that maybe their clinic wasn't doing. And I think just continuing to build on that in the future would be great.
Yeah, I'll just add to that a little bit. Todd nailed it, but back in like 2012, one of our amazing employees, her name's Lori Dillon. She's kind of she's our chief people officer, and she came up with a white paper on, hey, what does it look like to run a committee that does humanitarian work through our company, Therapeutic Associates, and she kind of brought me in, a couple other people in early on during that, and then we decided to form a committee. Actually, we decided to form a task force back in 2014, and then we kind of fought to make it an official TAI committee, and they let me take it over back in 2015, 2016. That's where we met you, Efosa, with PT Dave Service, and so what that committee has been, it's been cool. It's been an evolution of getting some really kind of good minds in a room or on a call and talking about, like Todd said, ways we can zoom back out and do more community service things, regionally in different regions, or we have 4 states that we serve, and so how do we do that and get our employees to have some events they can work on together. So it's been a really cool group. We can talk more about that too. But,
no, I love that. I love that. And Todd, I love what you seem to recognize, that coming around service has been a connector of sorts for the team, that transcends the actual location and the clinic that they're in. Is that what you guys have seen over the years of PT Dave Service and some of the other activities that you've done? Is this unifier of sorts for the team of TAI?
Yeah, I think it's been a big emphasis in the last 7-8 years for the company. I think PTs kind of have it in their DNA to be, to serve. For us, I think it fits into our core values just around compassion and for others, and that it shows in what we do. And then even in the last couple of years, our company every year picks a wildly important goal. In the last 2 years, it's been around joy in work, where we've actually done some work and created our own tool to measure that. But the constructs of joy that we're looking at are, caring, meaning, connection. So, getting involved in community type projects or things that we can serve kind of fills that caring and meaning piece. But the connection piece is really, I think, the kind of the magic in it, in that our people are doing things together outside of what their regular workday would be. So that's where we're really seeing, again, building a bigger net. And it's not just TAI where we have, the average clinic has 2.5 to 3 PTs in it. I think that, most larger companies have the same thing. They're kind of big companies made up of a bunch of small businesses. But anything we can do to leverage getting people together so they build a network, not only professionally, but also, on social a social stance, and also just developing friendships and things throughout the company has been a big thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt, please.
I was just going to say, it's been a big talk. We have a PT cohort that Todd and the executive team created to help kind of onboard new therapists in the company, and this is one of the things that they get to hear about is service, and we hear good feedback from them, like, hey, this is really important to these newer PTs coming out, that they want to have a company that has opportunities for them to serve. And so we've just put some legs to it. We just put some organization to it and some structure. But the desire is there. I mean, these are some really hungry therapists that want to serve. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you both hit on so many good things, Todd, from what you started with. The idea of service is within the DNA of those who are drawn to this profession and within the DNA of the profession. So it's essentially just tapping into that which is already there. And cheers to what you all are doing. I'm sure, and I hope other organizations are doing it as well. But that idea of joy, we invest a good amount of our time in our vocation. So if it's really engage in the beautiful aspect of the technical work, but also the multidimensional part of it, of connection, of compassion, of collaboration, there's something refreshing about it that is beautiful. And you all know a bit about my background as well in the community health and the global health space. There was a time early on when I'll do some projects and service in the US or abroad where I had to pause and ask myself, I was feeling guilty. I was like, I'm having so much fun serving, is this supposed to be this much fun? Because it's in ways that I still haven't figured out and probably still haven't been defined or still haven't been measured. But when you're aiming the best of what you can tap into yourself towards trying to catalyze or curate good and for people or places and overall how grand you think the planet around you, it really evokes something special. So it's neat to really hear that that's in the rhythm what you all are doing in TAI. I love that. And tangibly, so it sounds like and I know Lori, so Lori's amazing.
Yeah, Lori, she's the best.
Great. So it sounds like things really have ramped up at least 7-8 years, but from what I know about you all, this has been part of this. Some of these seats have been there from very early on in the beginning, but what are some of the tangible projects and activities and impact that you all can recall from the last several years, bidirectionally, that you may have aimed for your community and that you have felt in that participation with your community?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Great question. This year is a record year for us. So we typically serve on average about 13 events. So that spans over 4 states. We're in California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho. This year's our record. We have 17 events. So we have more ambassadors that want to step up and do the work and get some volunteers. And the ones that kind of really jump out the most to me, being somebody that's in Portland, we have this really cool organization that we work with here called Go. And I'm not sure if they're in other parts of the country too, but I've taken my own daughters to these events the last few years where, we go to build these toys, some kind of modified toy. Usually it's some kind of non-motorized device that we're gonna turn into something motorized that they can drive around, but something with ease, like the touch of a button. It could be something they put their hand on. These are for kids with developmental issues that can't operate like a normal toy or normal motorized thing. It could even be like something where they have to lean a head on. And it's a really cool event. We get a lot of people to come. A lot of times they bring the kids to the event and actually get to pick up the thing right there with it. So we get to kind of interact with them and talk to the families. It's super fun. We just did it again this year at 2 different locations. Yeah, those are the ones that jump out to me. I can highlight a few more and then I'll let Todd talk too. For the years we've done this really cool food bank drive up in Seattle. It's called the Food Lifeline. As a group, they raise millions of pounds of food to help the communities. When we go, we raise a couple thousand pounds or organize a couple thousand pounds of food for them. Lori Dillon's been leading that charge every year, so that's been a standard one we've had. And the last one I'll highlight is called Horses of Hope. It's down in Salem, Oregon. It's an equine therapy group, and so they'll bring adults and kids that have sometimes developmental issues, neurological issues, but people that will respond to doing equine therapy. And so this is kind of a fundraiser. It's also just a way to build awareness about it for the community down there that one of our PTs down there organizes at our Kaiser clinic, Kaiser, Oregon. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And I think for us that, kind of become a seasonal project, not everything happens on the actual day. So I know there's even an event, one of our regions is doing something in November around in coordinating with the Movember initiative around men's health. And that's one of their projects associated with this greater, organizational push to do different things. So yeah, that's the fun thing is it's not, it spans more than just one day. It's actually kind of a entire couple months of different projects that will come up.
I love that. And one of the things that was always inherent in PT Day of Service early on when Josh and I were co-founding and we helped scales, it was the truth that each day could be a day of service. So that's the ultimate message. But what I love about this, and I was talking on a podcast recently as well, is in this community engagement, as we're aiming with humility and intention to engage and give back to our community, it also positions us to be the organizations and the entities, those who are serving in the community for people to look to, especially when it's built around movement, whether it's Horses for Hope or Go Baby Go and things of that nature. It's a way to create these bonds, sustainable relationships and bonds, as well as impact, as well as change. And so it's multidimensional and so much good comes from it. There was, I remember I was with you all, this is not a movement based, but Matt, did we see each other in 2017? I think I came to the Northeast. Was that,
you did.
Or a shelter?
Yeah, it was a food. You know who organized that, which is so cool? It was Alyssa. I don't want to say her last name is Breslin.
Yes.
And she worked for Move Together, and she was a student or something like that of doing a rotation with Therapy Associates, but was associated with Move Together. Yeah. And it wasn't even one of our employees. It was a student that organized that, and it was a huge event at our flagship like downtown Portland clinic. So yeah, I think you and Josh both flew out for it, I think. And
something. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was a super cool event. Yeah, we had a good time with that one. Yeah.
So what's on the radar? So we've talked about history. The idea of community engagement and being embedded in the community has been there since day one. Things have ramped up a good amount over the past decade, and these different entities and these different projects that you mentioned across also a time continuum. I love how you said it, Todd. It's not just on the day; it's over a couple of months, and it's very dynamic. It's very diverse. So that also creates different ways to engage with different groups that hitherto you may not have engaged with potentially. And it also curates this opportunity for different personnel within your team to participate in ways they feel called. What's on the radar for the time to come? Is it to continue with this type of work? Are there any other ideas that you have about service and community engagement? I'm sure there are going to be potential people. I think many people are looking to learn more about organizations who are thinking about what an organization could be in a sort of a variegated way, in a multidimensional way. So it'd be great to hear what's now and what's next.
I can touch on a couple things and Matt could probably fill in. Things that have changed for us. Now we have a benefit for our employees that they can get a day off to serve. Actually have a scholarship program for them to get things funded if they want to serve in a different way. So try to embed it more in some cultural things and then some actual things that are tangible for our employees that they see that we're supporting their efforts to make a difference in their communities.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, the big talk when we get together with our committee that Lori and I founded is called the PT for Humanity Committee, is what we call it. The big theme is how do we keep the momentum going? So we have PT Day of Service every year, October, November, and like what do we do to keep it going? So I can tell you that's like kind of top of mind as we're trying to figure out what things can we do? What are even some low-hanging fruit that we can do? Like, can we just have some things like, shoe bins that people can, have at all of our clinics where they can donate shoes or clothes or something like that. So I know those things are being talked about a lot. Zooming back out a little bit, I know, Efosa, you and I have talked about this. I had the pleasure of going to Guatemala with you to serve on a trip with. That was a life-changing event. Doing some physical therapy down there in Villanueva, and I know my vision, my hope would be that we can find a way to continue that with therapists from our company, from other companies too, to kind of go be clinical instructors for the students. Shout out to MGH students in Boston. So, but yeah, my vision is we have we lead by example. And we have directors, we have executive team members, like Todd and Lori, that are leading the path that these next therapists are coming through and finding ways that they can also volunteer and serve. So yeah.
I love that. TAI, leads and serves by example. Love it very much. A few thoughts, and we can brainstorm more. I look forward to us diving in deeper in the time to come. But some early low-hanging fruit things is thinking about even supply drives. We're heading back to Guatemala in January to this very remote town. Our organization moved together. This very remote town that had just one stoplight, one traffic light, but doing amazing things. Really transforming the community. So we're heading back there with the MGH IHP DBT program, and these projects are so amazing. First, to speak back to the project we did with you and Josh Hagemeyer. That was in 2020.
Yeah, January. Yep.
And you both, obviously, we talked leading up to, we all prepped, but you both were so amazing. The professor at MGH, Jane Baldwin, IHP, she still talks about you all and your stewardship, your leadership, your mentorship of the students. The way we usually structure the week, I'm maybe speaking to whoever listening, because Matt and to Todd, we do a whole bunch of group dynamics of engaging and reviewing the objectives for the project. And that first couple of days is usually cultural engagement and openness of the place around us, going to Antigua or doing a hike. And then one of my favorite parts of the week is, before I talk about the rest of the week, is that Sunday night where we have the clinicians do a bit of sort of a mentorship modules, these sort of appetizers, 60 minutes of techniques and tools and considerations and assessments. And it was so neat that Sunday evening. I think Josh did some things on cervical and thoracic assessment and mobilization. I forget maybe what you did now, excuse me, Matt, but I remember the profound impact it had on the students, and we're utilizing those tools in real time for the week to come, which we're going to these communities where folks oftentimes have never had a health clinician touch their hurts and ask them where and how and when does it hurt, and promise them we're going to do our best to figure out why. And to see the clinicians alongside the traveling students and the local students come together to treat from the depths of their heart and the top of their intelligence, it's very transformative. And the way we aim to set up these projects is to not just go and leave, to really be part of a sustainable project. So even when we're gone, it's still going on by local clinicians. But also what I'm going to click on here is what we do bring back with us. To see the clinicians, to see the students is very special. So one of the things that we talked about, Matt, we could keep on the radar is a deeper collaboration on that front, and then also think about even engaging DBT students and programs on the West Coast, for some of these overseas, what we call projects, things of that nature. So that's a higher hanging fruit, but it's very accessible.
Oh, I love it. I remember those nights, those Sunday nights. I remember this is another shout out to Lori, but I remember teaching them some stealth norming tricks, which are like just team kind of collaboration, like fun things. That was fun. We do those a lot corporately, like at all of our management retreats and stuff. Like we get together and have some like fun, bonding things like that. So yeah, it's a good time.
My favorite one was a speed rock paper scissors.
Rock paper scissors cheerleader. Yeah.
That was great. So as we land, Todd and Matt, it was great sharing time on you. With you all to talk about service and community engagement, and what it means for your organization and what it has mean, and I think will continue to mean through your organization. Please, any landing thoughts around this conversation, this axiom?
For maybe other organizations thinking of getting involved, just starting small is fine. And I think the other thing we just learned is, build a structure that empowers your people to do the things that they love to do. So, I know Matt's done a great job and others leading, getting people started. But the real fun part is to see people develop their own projects and kind of take off and recruit people and get excited about working in the community with their teammates.
Love that.
Yeah, I just, what comes to my mind is just this next generation coming through, and just how, how excited we keep hearing they are about service, and just, helping spread the word about this more, however that looks. If it's, talking to like those DPT students, I mean, we take I take personally a couple of students every year, just, inviting them into these things, trying to get them involved in things early, and just seeing the power behind it, and how I love that word, transformative. It just, there's nothing better than in service projects to go transform your life and your practice as a therapist too. It's, it really, I don't know. It's an easy thing for us to go do, because we already should have that compassion skill. So just something to kind of keep that going. Yeah.
Well, love it so much. It was great sharing time with you all in this conversation. I anticipate that we'll come alongside each other to continue to try to strive for good. And it's been inspiring to see what you all have done on the West Coast, and then also in other parts of the world. And I also think setting a bit of a standard and example for other entities and organizations of different sizes to follow. So I'll say cheers to that, and looking forward to the journey ahead.